YouTube, we are live on twitch.tv/Decade right now with 2-pack leaks coming soon. But first, we're here for the new ban list. Are you ready? Boom. What is this? OCG, Forbidden Limited List. Why should we care about the OCG? And I would say more so than the TCG is because Konami consistently copies what they have done to the OCG. They pretty much test it before they apply it to Master Duel. So this, in a way, could be the future Master Duel ban list. Good or bad? Are you ready? Boom. April 1st. Okay, it's an April Fool's ban list. Let's see what is good. Let's keep on going. We're going to start this off with newly unlimited Fire King Avatar Kieran from 2 to 3. As I'm saying, this pretty much being the future of the Master Duel ban list, expect this card to now go to 3. Kieran has definitely fallen off hard in relevance, especially with the release of Fiendsmith. You had Snake Eye wanting to play with Fiendsmith instead of Fire King, and I believe the Snake Eye Fire King's not even being played with Fiendsmith. They're playing with Azamina instead. So you could see Pure Fire King, sure. Well, we could just look at the Master Duel stats of how relevant the deck has been. It has pretty much fallen off the tier list within Master Duel if we want to frame it in that way to get ready for this Unlimit. And if we look on the tier list on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, it's nowhere to, this is TCG. Let's do OCG, Control F, Fire King, all the way down here. 0.36% of the meta. Anything below Blue Eyes should be strongly considered for unbanning and unlimiting, yes? And Gladiator Beast is up now. What? Chris Strong, Gladiator, so many different decks. Oh my Jesus. I gotta look at that later. Let's see what else we have here. Kieran, very beautiful. Kieran also being a big card to help you play around, gives you more hand trap resilience for, let's say, your Snake Eye Ash. They want to Imperm or Veiler your Ash. You then chain Kieran, pop it. A lot of people are definitely afraid of that. What else do we have? Performapal Monkey Board. It's at 3 now in the OCG. It's already been at 3 in Master Duel. I don't think this has done anything in Master Duel, right? If we go to Master Duel stats here, Valence still not playing it at 3. Pendulum Magician has started to play the card at 3. Congratulations to them. It's not a top tier deck, but sure. Yeah, triple monkey board there. Any Pendulum Chads out there want to tell me the relevance of this? Probably not that relevant. Let's go back on over to the, whoop, we got Chronograph Sorcerer. Another Pendulum unhit, which it looks like it's now just fully unhit in everywhere. TCG, OCG, and Master Duel. The other part of this, the brother or sister, you would want to say, is the Astrograph, yes? Astrograph, will this card ever become unlimited to 1? So the interesting thing about a card like Astrograph and Sorcerer, and this does apply to a deck like Fire King, is there's this unwritten rule where if a card effect has the ability to summon from the hand, you can't use that in the same chain link as another monster that could summon from the hand. So you wouldn't be able to Astrograph, if you have multiple Astrographs because the card's not a hard once per turn, you can't just summon all 3 Astrographs from the hand, but still this card being beyond limited to 1 would be too broken apparently. And let's keep on going. Pendulum stuff, sure. Masterpiece from 2 to 3 still banned in the TCG. And I think we can all confidently say that to the TCG, it's okay to unban Masterpiece. It's not going to break the format, didn't really do too much. And this going from 2 to 3, if we go on over to Master Duel Meta, it's actually no data available recently. We'll go on to Master Duel Meta through clicking here. And if we look up Masterpiece, the card is not even being played at 3. Masterpiece is mostly being played at, you think, 2? 1. 100% at 1 in the most recent usage statistics. We got some Duelist Cups getting max level here. 1 Masterpiece, 1 Masterpiece, Masterpiece. Here's a Master 1 of 1 Masterpiece. My video, I enjoyed playing 3, but it looks like putting in more Floodgates makes the Floodgate deck apparently better. Let's see what else is good. Also, you know, it's just a very cool boss monster. Quick effect, being able to pop a card in the field. Also, it's going to be unaffected by traps and monsters or possibly spells. 2 of those 3. Now let's keep on. Morphing Jar from 2 to 3. Back in my day, people would cheat with the Morphing Jar, limited to 1. They would hand you their 39-card deck. If you would not count their 39-card deck to see it's only 39 cards, you would not know that the Morphing Jar is actually on their lap. And if they open up Morphing Jar in their opening hand, you lose. Their whole deck is flipping up, flipping down the Morphing Jar until your deck size is reduced to 0. As you continually, both players discard their hand, then keep on drawing 5 and over and over and over. I don't think this has been doing anything, though, recently. Was this a card that was recently even unbanned? I think this card was on the ban list, right? OCG doing nothing, TCG doing nothing. If we look on over to Macedol Meta, is there any recent Morphing Jar Chads? Morphin Jar. What's going on with the Morphin Jar over here? February, we have Shin Yakumura with the Legend Anthology event. That must have been fun. Back in 2023, where are the Morphing Jar Chads? Only at one Morphing Jar after the card's been fully unlimited. That's crazy. Now, let's keep on going. From Morphing Jar, we have Snatch Steal. This card, even though it's searchable at iSold, it has not really been doing much. And it's from 2 to 3. Has anyone even been playing it at 2? Makonko is kind of enjoying it at 1. Chaos. Okay, this is the GOAT format. We do show stats for GOAT and also Edison format if you care about those formats. We go on to the Macedol stats here. Sky Strikers playing this at 3, some of them. Wow, that is actually something. I did not expect that. Because where I mostly expect to see this card is if you see that there's no decks available, I click on side deck. There you go. We have in the side deck and still just playing 1 when the card was already semi-limited. So an outdated restriction, just fully unlimited. Why not snatch up the opponent, steal it, and it's yours. What else do we have? These are the unlimited. Zodiac Barrage. One of the biggest downsides of this card is it turns your Zodiacs into garnets. If you don't know the difference between a brick and a garnet must be in the deck to perform the combo. A brick is, if you draw it, you can still perform the combo, but it's just not good by itself. And with this only summoning a Zodiac from the deck, what I noticed people doing in Macedol, they couldn't just play 3 Zodiac Barrage and 1 Zodiac, because what happens if you draw that 1 Zodiac? They then had to compromise further playing more than 1 Zodiac. And then this hard plays into a card like Maxi, and now even Fool Loss, as when this was unlimited in Macedol, we played around with it for a bit, but even Fool Loss was not around. This is just not that good. Now, if Zodiac were to be fully unlimited, I'm sure within the Zodiac archetype itself, it would be amazing. But otherwise, just teching into a deck, not a big deal to just fully unlimited. And TCG not having Max C, maybe they are more afraid of any effect that results in a bunch of special summoning. Let's see what else we have here. Newly semi-limited. So these, the soft stuff, the unlimits. And we're going to start getting a little harder here. Cyberjar from 1 to 2. This is still soft. Fully unlimited in Master Duel. I guess an idea would be to use this as a board breaker, but the problem with breaking the board is you generally want the card to be good going second. And if you have to set this card, it's now a 2-card combo to board break. Why not just Dark Ruler no more? Why not Dark Hole? Why not Raigeki? I guess you would need like a book of flip this up, and so you set your Cyberjar, flip it up, and then you get to destroy all the monsters on the field, and they're likely, with their fully built field, going to stop this effect anyway. I remember back in Duel Links, that is the last time I remember flip effects actually being relevant, where if the opponent would attack into your set monster, it would be the Coup Mushroom. Does anyone remember the Coup Mushroom? The mushroom would pretty much nuke the entire field, because if they were to flip into this, you're essentially milling 5 cards off the top of the deck, which could pop back row, pop monsters, special summon the field. I don't expect battle flip effects to ever be relevant again. I know the Mimi goal is kind of it's a meme. Is this a real thing? Where you're setting this cards on your opponent's side of the field, and then using another effect to flip it up, and then it just does horrible effects to the opponent, like destroying their own field, or making the opponent draw a card, which you are now the opponent after giving them the Mimi goal. This is the latest attempt at making flip effects relevant, and otherwise, Cyberjar is just not doing much. Let's see, Purely Sleepy Memory. This card is responsible per copy to draw 2 cards. So at 1, it drew 2 during the opponent's turn. At 2, it now draws 4. And in Master Duel, we could draw 6 cards if you go big with Purely. This was one of the big pain points of playing against Purely. It's one of the decks that can most consistently draw into your Max C. And the deck has pretty much fallen off. It was mostly at the top of the win rate analytics on the top cards page of MasterDuelMeta.com, the official highest rank of Master Duel from Konami's analytics. Instead of Ritual Beast, it Purely used to always be up here at the highest win rate deck. And then it just has really fallen off. There's no Purely per. And then, of course, on the usage, it's not going to really be there. This stops at 13% usage. Let's see what else we have here. I'm a fan of Pure Lead, though. I'm not afraid to say that. What else we have going down? Newly limited, so nothing from 3 to 2. Everything was from 1 to 2. Now we're going to get hard unless we're unbanning. That's still pretty hard. No matter what this has got to be good hits. Sword Ryzeal. Very interesting. This card is now limited to 1. This is something we could expect possibly on the release of Ryzeal to maybe be preemptively hit in Master Duel if they're still doing that or decide to do that. The Ryzeal deck type is a bunch of Fire Thunders and Light Pyros, and they pretty much interact with each other. This is super extension. It's also a combo starter. Ideally, you're not starting your combo with this because you don't want to normal summon this. You do want to special summon it. It just searches your deck. It's, just a core part of the deck, super crazy. I think the bigger card to hit, well, if they're not hitting anything else, would have been the XCs, the EXT Ryzeal, which it's a combo starter and it has a board breaker like effect built into it where it can immediately pretty much negate a monster on the field, and then you would search the Sword Ryzeal. And this makes me think that generally you do not want to be disrupting the non-extra deck monster Ryzeals on field when they activate their effects. They're pretty much bait effects. But now if you start off with the EX Ryzeal, its main effect is to search the Sword Ryzeal, and if it's activating, then that generally means they probably don't have a Sword Ryzeal in the hand, and if you have an extra negate, I think it will be more beneficial to now throw out that extra negate on the EX Ryzeal attempting to possibly search this. I know it could instead search the Node Ryzeal, but now it's just like a 50% chance that if the EX Ryzeal is activating, whether they have a Sword Ryzeal already in the hand or not. So that is kind of interesting. And what else do we have here? Dimension Shifter. This card's at 3 in the TCG. Are you freaking kidding me? Finally, from 2 to 1 in Master Duel. Of course, not relevant to Master Duel as it's already at 1. Maybe a card like this should just be banned. I don't know if that's unpopular. Probably the popular opinion. I'm sorry if you like Dimension Shifter. It's just totally not cool to instantly win a game when you open up your hard one of. In fact, I think that Tenpai players pretty much stopped playing Dimension Shifter in Master Duel. Is that what's been going on? What are the Dimension Shifter stats? Yeah, Tenpai liked it at 2, and if it's at 1, it's just like, no thank you. I'm just not going to be playing it at all, apparently. Sure. Let's see what else we have here from Dimension Shifter. Malice Dormouse. Okay, this is going to be the most popular, best normal summon of Malice. And I know a lot of people are saying it's sometimes worth the gamble to negate this because this is the Malice that just banishes from the deck, as you could just sometimes get lucky, you Imperm or Veiler this, and then their turn could possibly end. Or what they like to call it, they call it high roll. I can call it gambling. So on summon, banish Malice from the deck, and then do the full wham, bam, thank you, ma'am combo from there. And now it's going to be a lot less relevant. I think that Malice has been so consistent that they don't even have to play Signet Mining. Maybe now that they're not playing Signet Mining and this card has been limited to 1, they can now introduce the other cards that every other Cybers deck is playing that I could not believe that they're playing. Let me double check that I'm correct on talking about Signet Mining like that. Because you have a Cybers deck not playing the card that searches any Cybers card. Now, I know people say they're playing Allure of Darkness instead. Well, why not play both, right? Let's see. Signet Mining, I guess they could be harder playing into a Droll and Lockbird. They don't want to lose to Droll as much. So as you can see, Signet Mining, not really played in Malice at all. And if their main combo starter is going to be limited to 1, then this card might be going up. As we could see, it's used a bit more in the OCG, but not as much. So I do expect the 0 number to decrease as more and more will be using this to compensate. Now, let me double check with Allure, how the usage stats on Allure of Darkness and Malice. That's probably super jumped, right? Only 38% are not using it, to about 60% usage. OCG, about 40% usage, still more than the Signet Mining. Now, what else do we have? We have 7th Tachyon. Oh boy. People found out, or they knew from the beginning, that this card could be played in any deck. This could search for stun cards, could search for like a barrier statue even. Now, Galaxy players are really upset about this. I would consider myself, for fun, a Galaxy Tachyon player. And I don't like that this is playable in every other freaking deck, and it's powerful enough to get restricted. Thus, your Galaxy Tachyon deck takes collateral damage from everyone else using and abusing this, because this is not broken in Galaxy Tachyon. But this is being used in your Ryzeal deck, and then we could just see what decks are using and abusing this card to pretty much just search for anything. This, I would compare this card to Small World. Small World was the much better card, much more balanced card of having to build bridges between other cards in your deck and, you know, banishing the card from your hand to get to whatever card you want. You -1. Now, this card does essentially -1 also. You search and then you return a card back in the deck. But people felt like instead of putting up weird cards in your main deck to make the Small World work, it's easier to just put a single extra deck monster in your extra deck, just lose one spot there, and then search for whatever you want, whenever you want with the 7 Tachyon, essentially. Ryzeal, TCGs, I think this just came out in the TCG. This is why the usage stats are low for Ryzeal, because it just came out. Now for OCG, let's see. OCG, 100% at 2, when it has been semi-limited, and now it's going to be 100% at 1. So it's still to be seen how often the TCG Mad Lads will be playing it. We could bring that up in a bit and see the most recent decks if they're all playing 7 Tachyon at 3. Maybe 3 is a bit too much, but there you go. 2 broken. I can't... This is, I would say, a blatant game design error. How do they release a card for Tachyon, but then they want it to be usable by other decks? Of course, they make more money when cards are usable by other decks, but it was way too usable, way too good to, as they're very quickly just restricting the card to 1 soon after its release. I say soon. I mean, it's actually been almost a year since it came out in OCG, May 2024. That's interesting, as it just came out in TCG, and we got it before TCG. Let's see what else we have here. The grass looking greener, now limited to 1 in every single format. You could thrust this into the hand if you're going second. You could offer up your left arm, banishing away your entire hand to add this to your hand if you'd like. Very nice. There was a theory, or at least maybe it was just my theory, that this card was banned for a while in TCG because it was too much of a headache to resolve in real life with multiple judges, because you're milling 20 to 30 cards potentially and then having to resolve 20 different chain links, and it's impossible to repair the game state after that if something goes wrong. But across the board, it's now 1/1/1. What are grass looking greener decks recently? Who's even playing this? Tier limits in TCG, Orcus, Lightsworn, Yubel. What about OCG? Whoa, there's some Malist builds that were playing this at 2. Branded is what I really think about when I think of grass. Infernoid is like in grass, even though the Infernoid deck that just won the last Meta Weekly was not even playing grass. That was wild. And then in Master Duel, what are our favorite decks using the grass? Branded, pretty much just branded. Paleozoic is a fun deck. Let's see what else we have. We have Forbidden now. Artifact Scythe. Is this already banned in Master Duel? Let me see. Boom. No, it's only allowed in Master Duel. Otherwise, people don't really care about this. Now, a lot of people know that you make the link to Dagda, then you activate another card effect to not trigger the Dagda, but chain directly to the card to set a Scythe from your deck. And then you need a way to pop the Scythe during the opponent's turn. And then only after doing all that, and hopefully they do not have a Call by the Grave to finger your Scythe, or even, let's say, a Bestial to banish it, then your opponent cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. But what I've been noticing in the TCG and OCG, where in Master Duel you don't see this, is they're not going through that entire hassle. They're side decking in a single card to just special summon Scythe from the deck. So if we look at that, let's see. We'll type in, click side deck here. The TCG, it's been banned for a while. Let's click OCG. So if we look at that, we will, there it is. It's Artifact Sanctum. So that whole nonsense of Dagda, pop it on their turn, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and then lose to a Call by the Grave or a Bestial. Sanctum, just straight away. Just set this. Activate this card, special summon an artifact from the deck, and then Scythe just triggers on field and you win. And what's really good about the Sanctum is if you're using Thrust. So let's say they max C you on your turn 1. I would say it's in a way fair for me to now set a Sanctum for my deck with Thrust and then lock you out of your extra deck as you locked me out of mine through your max C. So, okay, Justin Master, we have this. what I think is more popular within Mastodon instead of this whole combo is if you wanted to just thrust set a dimensional barrier from your deck instead. That's kind of what this combo is competing with. Unless your deck inherently just has really good synergy of main deck and the Scythe. What decks are even main decking it, though? Let's see. These are Mad Lad's main decking Scythe. Scythe in the main deck back in it's March right now. Here's some February main deck Scythe. We got the Live Twin. Looks like anyone who wanted to do it. We have White Forest, Live Twin, Ryzeal, Fiendsmith, Scarecrow. Whoever wanted to be a toxic Mad Lad in the main deck, they got it. Now, what's interesting about this deck is, not to dwell on this too much, not only did they main deck the Scythe with the Dagda combo, they then would side deck into 3 Sanctums after already main deck in the Scythe, and then it also comboed up with the Lancia. So pull Lancia from the deck to help counter a deck like Malice, where they can no longer banish for the rest of the turn. That is interesting. When Malice comes out in Massadul, we may see people playing Lancia alongside Scythe with Sanctum in the main deck just to be funny. Or at least maybe that would just be a Labyrinth combo. Labyrinth with their traps popping off. Now, would anything else get limited to 1? Probably not. I clicked off the ban list here. Let's see. So this is a good ban list so far, right? What do y'all think? I'm a big fan of Fire King, so that's pretty cool to see the Kieran is now at 3. And Newly Forbidden. Summon Limit. Another hit. This card is across the board gone. Now, there is another card that's pretty much replaced this across the board as a floodgate, and that floodgate is, who has played against this? Lose 1 turn, right? There it is. So this is the much more balanced version of restricting your opponent's summons. Obviously, it's not doing the same thing, but on the turn, a monster special summon, it goes to defense, and then it's also negated. What was really disgusting about Summon Limit is Snake Eye being able to use this without being hindered. This is supposed to be balanced by both players being restricted, but once the more modern Yu-Gi-Oh cards are allowing this to just restrict the opponent, and then you turn it off on your own turn, Diablo Star sending away, Snake Eye send it away after you restricted your opponent, that's when a card like this is no longer cool. Not cool, Konami. So very good on that. This is a pretty good ban list. We got if we look at the tier list here, the top 2 decks, Ryzeal, Malice, they both got hit here. The more broken, one of the most broken cards in this deck, I think, is, wait, it's already limited to 1. Wow. I was like, it would have been better to limit this card to 1, but it's already limited to 1. There you go. Okay, so you would expect this card to be limited to 1 first, and then Sword Ryzeal. Okay, I didn't have that in my mind when talking about Sword Ryzeal. I was thinking that this card is way better, as you know, Konami definitely agrees with that sentiment. So, oh wait, what, a Star Ryzeal? I don't even know about this card. This is a brand new one. That is interesting. And then let's see real quick onto the Malice deck type. What are they looking like after the hit? The Dormouse, you definitely want to be playing that at 3, limited to 1 now. As I said, that was the main normal summon. Otherwise, the rest of the deck. What else is hit within the top 3 decks here? White Forest and Blue Eyes are untouched. They didn't get touched one bit, right? Yeah, they look perfectly fine afterward. Oh, they're liking the new Adjudicator. That's going to be something that'll be, maybe next year for Massadul. And then Blue Eyes untouched. The very powerful Primite engine. So maybe Blue Eyes and White Forest will be rising in power as Malice and Ryzeal have been knocked down a notch. Ryzeal in more than one way. They also got the 7 Tachyon restricted. So what is the consensus on this ban list? Let's see. 47 comments here. Every floodgate hit's a good hit, good list. I agree, that's good. What else do you have? Many people believed Magna Hut was going to get banned. What? Magna Hut ban? What people are thinking is too good in Malice right now? What the heck? And no Maxi. So I guess this was a copium moment, or every ban list from here on out will be copium because we have Fualos now in the format in OCG and in Massadul that Maxi could go to 1 or get banned. Maybe next year. Try again. Yes, Fire King Kieran Unlimited. Happy about that. Glad to see Summon Limit banned all 3 formats. Yup. Why no roach hit? There's a lot of copium. No, wow, a lot of people. Where's the Max C? Where's the Max C? No Max C. All right, so there you go. That is the OCG ban list. I'll see you on twitch.tv/Decade with the $1,000 tournament qualifier plus the 2 new pack leaks I'll be leaking on today's stream. If you're watching this video on the day of my stream, if not, next week I'll have more leaks. Thank you very much. We're out.